Hello, welcome to Beach View, our podcast about all sorts of things and stuff.
And today, we're doing More Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Yes, we're returning to this delightfully creative, dark comedy, I guess you would say.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so we watched episodes 4 through 6 of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV series.
Yep. Which is, at the time of recording, the last available Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared material, so.
So we are all caught up.
Yes.
So, what were your thoughts?
So, like I said during our last podcast about the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV show, I don't really like these episodes as much as the first 3.
Yeah.
I think 5 is good, but 4 is really bad, and I just don't really care for 6.
Yeah. They were different, weren't they? They had a different feel to them.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Did you like this, not like this? What'd you think?
I thought they were okay. Kind of felt the same way as you, where there was a couple of times that I don't want to say I got bored, but I guess I was a little like, okay, like where are we going, But they weren't bad. I mean, like you still had your like comedic timing that's always, like the main thing that I like about these episodes. Of course, there's still like, got the weirdness going, so that's always funny in itself. Which one did I like the best? I don't know. I guess I kind of liked episode 6 though.
Okay.
It was a little weird, but it
Yeah.
wasn't, I think that's probably my favorite one. That's hard to say. But yeah, they were okay. They were all right. It wasn't my favorite, but I did like that there wasn't as much like gory stuff, blood and guts everywhere. So I like when it's not that much stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah. Average rating, I guess.
Yeah, for me, these are just, like, weaker than the first 3 episodes. And like I was saying last time, I really think that these show the weakness of the TV show format.
Yes.
Compared to the old YouTube format. Like, I like that old format better. But, there's still funny moments in these, and the artistry is still good. The animation and puppetry and, like, set design and all that.
Oh, yes. The production value is still great, but I have to agree. Like, I think the YouTube format lends itself better to this type of show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you want to get the plot synopses?
Yes, let's get into it.
Alright, so episode 4. It's computer day and the guys are using the computer. They struggle to log in, though, because the yellow guy forgot the password. The other 2 yell at him, causing a weird worm guy to appear, kind of like he was out of a workplace training sort of video. The worm guy urges them to be good friends and then does a song. The worm guy is a weird loser. The 3 guys are mean to him, and eventually the yellow guy remembers the password. They check their email, and the yellow guy gets upset because he doesn't have any emails. This causes him to retreat into his own brain, and there's another song. The worm eventually enters his brain to try to get him out, but then decides to stay instead, and ruins everything inside the yellow guy's brain. Meanwhile, the other 2 try to look up how to fix the problem online, and then due to the worm guy ruining everything, the yellow guy retreats even further into his brain, but he's still haunted by the worm. Eventually, the other 2 guys pull the worm out and everything goes back to normal. And the computer leaves with a weird new thing. They sing a song, and the episode ends when the yellow guy breaks the new computer thing and they all get in a fight. Episode 5. The 3 guys are hanging around not doing much. The red guy is tired of this and decides he wants to go somewhere. A train guy appears. The train is decrepit, but eventually they do a song about transport. Then the train guy dies after transforming into a car. The green duck and yellow guy had fun with this and are finished, but the red guy still wants to go somewhere. He eventually gets the car going and they drive off somewhere. The other 2, plus a GPS that appears, still want to go home, but they do not. Eventually they sing a song. They engage in antics during the car ride. Eventually the car starts breaking down, and everything gets weird and they end up in a landfill. It's not a really plot-heavy episode.
Correct, yeah.
6. The three guys are hanging around again, and then another weird guy appears. Classic. This one comes out of an electrical box to teach them about electricity. Another song happens. Eventually, it is revealed that the yellow guy runs on batteries. But these batteries are old, so they swap them out with the electrical guy's batteries. This makes the yellow guy really smart. Antics ensue. Eventually, the yellow guy realizes that things are strange and goes upstairs. We get meta. The yellow guy meets big boy versions of the green duck and red guy. The yellow guy then leaves to go up another floor. Meanwhile, the green duck and red guy are doing things with electricity. The yellow guy meets the bigger boys version of the characters, but after a while decides to leave there too. The regular green duck and red guy end up in the dark because of their playing with electricity. The yellow guy goes up to a final room to see a human playing a piano. Still very meta. And the human and yellow guy, fix a little diorama, and then she hands the yellow guy a weird book, and the yellow guy goes back downstairs to show the pair the book, but before he gets there, the green duck swaps the batteries again, and this makes the yellow guy dumb again, and he shreds the book. So that's the plot synopses.
It sounds so ridiculous when you say it all in a plot synopsis, so...
Well, it is kind of an absurdist show.
No, it definitely is an absurdist show. So, yeah, let's get into episode 4.
Yes, so the opening song in this one is hands down the best in this entire TV show.
Yeah.
I played a clip from it before in one of our previous episodes.
Yes, I have to agree.
It's the We Live in an Actual Nightmare one.
Yes.
I think that's funny.
It is very funny. So yeah, I think the funny thing, the first funny thing is when they're sitting at the computer, they're having their computer day. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And they're well, enter your name. And it's the red guy is just typing, and it's a ton of characters. It's
yeah.
Up and down arrows, all this crazy stuff. So we never get their names. So it's kind of funny that it's one of those mysterious things. And then he enters, is it the duck guy's name, and it's one key only, so that's immediately kind of goofy, because it's one of them has this super long name that he's typing in, the other one's just one key, so it doesn't make any kind of sense, which is obviously the hallmark of all of these episodes. So that's kind of funny. And then I think it's funny when they start calling the guy a bunch of expletives, and it's just beeped out, it's kind of goofy.
Yeah, I think the, initial sort of, premise here is funny. Just them using the computer, and they only get to use it, once per year for some reason. That's just really funny to me.
It is, it's very funny, and it's a super old school looking computer. I mean, obviously, it's a computer guy, it's got a personality and everything. But...
Well, that's the guy from, I believe, episode 4 of the original YouTube series.
I was gonna say, I know I've seen this computer guy before.
He's a recurring character.
Yeah. Well, I guess he's only recurring once a year, isn't he? Yeah, and I think it's another funny part was when the red guy tells him, he's he's why don't I have any friends? Wait, who's the one who was saying I don't have any friends?
Isn't it the worm? Or I don't remember now.
Yes, I think, yes, it's the worm. So the worm says something about how he doesn't have friends, and the red guy's immediately he goes, oh, that's because of the way you look. It's just very, to me, that was the comedic timing coming in, and it's kind of definitely hurts his feelings, and it's just so goofy, and they just keep piling it on him. They're oh no, it's because of such and such, it's because basically saying he's such a huge loser, and that's why he doesn't have any friends.
Yes, well,
he is so rude.
He is a huge loser.
Yeah, he definitely is a huge loser. I like how we're calling a worm a huge loser, but yeah. So then they finally get online, and I think the other, it's really funny when they're trying to manipulate him with a quote restaurant style meal.
Right.
Which is
well, he wants
what does that even mean? Yeah. I just think it's so funny. He's I want a restaurant style meal. Okay.
Well, I guess he doesn't get to go out with friends.
Apparently not.
because he's always needling people about his business ideas.
It's just so goofy. Like, it's just a funny one. I do think this was a weaker episode, as you said, but it definitely had some funny parts to it, as always.
Yeah, I just, I feel like this is trying to do too much, and a lot of the things it's trying to do just really aren't good.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like we have 4 concepts stacked together here, like, them being on the computer, the weird, a guy appears, okay, that might be a normal Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared episode with, 2 sort of things happening, and the guy's, thing about friendship, or, a weird satirical take on, workplace PSAs.
Yes.
I just didn't care for it. It's not, funny to me. I feel like that exact joke's been done to death.
Yeah.
And then also, the third concept being, the guy's just a weird loser, which I felt like is kind of, these weird guys are kind of absurdist, they, are trying to explain something, but they do it wrong, or they're just, otherwise, oblivious and cause harm. This is just, a fairly normal, type of guy.
Yeah.
He's just, pushy and, weird and kind of a loser. I felt like the concept just didn't really work for me. It's too mundane.
Yeah.
And then the brain section, which is, I didn't like any of that.
Yeah, it really did go into a lot of different kind of themes. And it was like you're just kind of following one to the next, and you're like, wait, this all is stemming from computer day. Let's get back to that. It's like a whole definite lots and lots of different types of things going on here. So I agree with you. I think it's meant to be obviously one thing after the other, and they're all absurdist kind of things. But I think you're right. It was just too much going on that wasn't very interconnected,
Yeah.
And it was just really goofy. When the worm enters his brain and he gets all meta on it, it's just kind of it's just so crazy. And it's, I don't know. It was okay. We still, again, had funny parts, but it was just kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
And the little worm guy was just kind of annoying. I know who's meant to be.
Yeah.
But it was still just kind of okay, where we go. It was just spent a longer amount of time on the worm guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode's also weirdly mean-spirited in a way I didn't like.
Yes.
They're just all being mean to each other all the time. I thought that was
yes, they're very
there's
mean.
I don't know why normally that would be a funny thing in these, but for whatever reason I thought it was cranked up too much in this episode.
Yeah, it definitely was. But again, like I said, you have some comedic delivery, toward the end, when the bird guy just happens to mention, he's yeah, sometimes the worm in my brain makes me think when I'm forging documents and it leads to many deaths, but that's not true. And you're what?
Yeah.
What kind of documents are you forging and how are people dying?
But yeah, I will say there's a horror inspired section in this.
Yes.
Which I thought was really cool visually. When they're trying to remove the worm from his brain.
When the worm gets giant and gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought they did a good job with that visually.
Yeah, you see something stabbing it, and it's actually them stabbing a needle through his brain, through his ear to get the worm, and then they just flick it out. Yeah. Gross.
Yeah. But, yeah, I didn't like this episode. You seem to be a bit higher on it, though. So,
I mean, it was okay. They all, end up fighting at the end, and it's I think you're right. It was a little bit chaotic. They were all mean-spirited to each other the whole time, and then they're, fighting at the end, so it was kind of I mean, it was okay. It was fine.
Yeah. So, anything else to add about episode 4?
Nope, let's move on to episode 5.
Yeah. So, right off the bat, I think the opening to this one's weak.
Yeah, I'm trying to even remember, how the train came in.
Oh, I meant the there's 3 of us song.
Oh, the opening song. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think this one's funny. I like the clipboard bit in the beginning, where because the duck's just like taking inventory,
Yeah, a visual inventory.
and he's not like like oh he's like one tile, one tile, one tile.
And there's like so many tiles. Yeah.
Yeah, and the red guy's like I hate the clipboard, and they're like shocked.
Yeah. And then the little clipboard like frowns. Like, aw, don't say you hate it.
Yeah, because the poor red guy wants to leave their house and go somewhere new.
Oh, that's how the train comes in, right?
Yes, and he's talking about that, and then the train comes in.
I got you. I was trying to remember like what brought on the train. But yeah. So the train comes in and he's like an old guy, like
Yep.
coughing and hacking and in poor health, and he's like speaking to my good ear, and then the little dude's like, well, where are your ears? Like, do you even have any ears?
Yep.
Yeah. And so then he starts this little whole song about transport, apparently. And then they're like, can you please tell him to stop morphing?
I like the rock bit of this transport song, like in the submarine,
Yeah.
where the green duck grabs it and he's like, "Can I keep this?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's just a rock."
Like, why you want that?
Yeah, the yellow guy is
Just a
like, "What
rock.
are you gonna do with a rock?"
Yeah. So goofy. Yeah. So that they have some funny parts to it, and like the funniest thing to me is like how in poor health the train is. Like it's just like the whole time it's like the little thing is just struggling, you know? It's like morphing into, all sorts of different transport.
Yep.
And then he gets to a car, and the red guy's like, we're going. He's determined. He's like, I gotta get out of this house, kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, he gets to the car and like dies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the red guy decides to like drive it off.
Yeah. He's like, oh, they don't care.
But the other two don't want to go anywhere.
Yeah. And the little yellow guy, I thought it was funny how he's like, what's happening? The sky is rewinding.
Yeah.
Like as they're going, moving,
Yeah, because they just don't understand it.
like they've never been in a car. Like, what's happening? Yeah. But they're like basically hostage, and then he's like, here's some entertainment. And they have like a whole curtain that comes out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
like a TV in the back of the car.
Yeah, I thought that whole like part was just like golden. That whole like everything in that section where they're bored
Yeah.
and like the entertainment system comes down.
Yeah. And then he's like, stop jabbing so hard on the back of the seat. Which, I mean, that's like a real... I just picture like, when you're flying and like
Yeah.
there's like a kid behind you, like just completely obliterating their little screen in the back of the seat. And you're just like, oh my goodness.
Well, I think it's funny that he responds with, "You have to jab it or it won't respect
Yeah.
you," or something.
It won't respect your choices. Yeah. That was very funny. And then the little guy on the TV, like, was, like, talking about, like, gum disease or something. I don't know. It was, like, so weird.
Yeah, it's Gralton and Havers, which is a running joke in these.
Yeah.
And the yellow guy doesn't, like, each time it comes up, he's like, I think, I forget which one's which, but he doesn't know which one's which, and the green dog's just like, no.
Yeah. Like, get it right. That's not correct. Yeah. And so they're just, going back and forth, and it's just like a funny little exchange with the stuff on the TV.
It's really funny to me that the green duck has the good side.
Yeah. Yeah. So goofy. And it's also like completely ridiculous how the red guy is like, I don't care what y'all say, like we're going somewhere. But they don't know where they're going. They throw the GPS out of the window. Like, and then it's just like utter chaos. Like the road trip goes awry. And then like somehow ominously they end up back home again.
Well, you're missing that they, like, the world starts breaking down.
Yes.
And then they end up in a landfill.
Yeah, I skipped some key parts, but yeah, they end up, well, I guess the road trip goes awry is where that came in, but
Yes.
I glossed over all that, but yeah. So it's just like a terrible experience. you know?
I really liked that ending. Like they go a bit different for the cinematography, and I really like how it's shot.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like weird and ominous.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's got that ominous feeling, like the music and like all of that. It just creates this like weird, like what's going on, you know? I love it. I love that too. Yeah, I thought this one was a good one. But it's just like it kind of gave you that ominous feeling the whole time. The red guy is like determined and the other two just like don't want to be there, you know? You're like, uh-oh, what's gonna happen, you know?
Right, well, it seems like the world doesn't want them to be there either. They all
Yes.
try to get them to go back home.
It's like conspiring against him. Yeah. And I thought the whole like song bit, you know, before that with the train explaining different transport was kind of funny. You know, definitely a decent song in this one.
Yeah, but yeah, this one starts to get a bit meta, some meta humor.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a TV plot. They have to restore the status quo at the end of it.
Yeah.
They always have to start from the house.
Yeah. It's definitely, and then you're like going, that's where the ominous feelings come in too, where like, how did they end up back here? You know, like that's, you see them like kind of freaking out a little bit, as usual.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, anything else to add on 5?
No, I thought that was a good one. You know, I didn't mind the format on this one. Like, I felt like it flowed well and
Yeah.
it, you know, like I thought they did this one well.
Yeah, there's some good jokes in there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Okay, on to episode 6.
Yep. I thought the electricity guy was funny.
Yes. The electricity guy is definitely funny. He's a cute little thing.
Yeah. And I like the insurance guy that appears after the yellow guy gets smart.
Yeah.
And like the yellow guy corrects him and
Yes. I thought this was funny because, you know, the yellow guy's usually kind of slow
yes.
and you know, he speaks slowly. They always like kind of make fun of him cuz he's dumb. And then he gets intelligent and like very quick and
Yes, they swap out his
talking a
batteries.
lot and they're just like, "What?" So, they in the beginning, like the yellow guy saying just like ridiculous stuff about the crossword clue. Like the
Yeah.
obvious answer is the word up, like 2 letters opposite of down. What is it? And like nobody can understand what it is. So like that's funny right off the bat.
Also, I don't know if you noticed this, but the yellow guy says the whole plot of the episode in the beginning.
Oh gosh, no.
So he says, what is something about, like when you go up and there's like a big one, and
Oh
there's like
yes.
a even bigger one above that, and then above that there's a small one.
You're right. I totally forgot about that. That's pretty funny. So yeah, that's all the ridiculous stuff he's saying
Yep.
was actually the plot, and you don't get that at the beginning, and I forgot about it at the end. So that's kind of funny. So they're like saying all this ridiculous stuff. And then another funny thing was like he's just like throwing dishes away. I don't remember which guy was.
The yellow guy, he keeps breaking dishes.
Yeah, and just like throwing them away. And they're like, "What are you doing?" And then, you know, they try to shred the electric bill. They're like, "We don't need this. This is not of any importance."
Yeah, and then the electricity guy comes out and is like, actually,
Yeah.
electricity's very important.
Yeah, like comes out of the electric box in their house and starts telling them about electricity. And I thought it was funny. Like I like this little song thing and then at one point it does kind of get a little gory because they say something about like their boring animal. Like well they're like talking about different things that electricity runs, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, "What about this animal?"
Oh, right, then he cuts it open. Yeah.
He cuts it open, he cuts it in half. Well, let's see. Nope. And it says something about this boring animal. I was like, how rude. But I love the song that they get into about the shredder.
Yeah.
Like, they start talking about the shredder, which is funny. And then another funny part is when they like discover that the yellow guy is run on batteries, and like they open up his chest and it's like holding batteries, and the duck guy goes, "Oh, those reek." It's like, ew, it's so gross. Like they just always make stuff like seem gross, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they switch out the batteries with the electric guy, and his batteries make him feel, the yellow guy's batteries make him feel brand new. And then they're like, he gets the crossword puzzle clues, and he like does the whole puzzle, and they're like amazed by it, which is funny. But the other two like just can't handle that he's smarter.
Yeah. He's thrown things out of whack.
Yeah, it's like, you know, everything's different now. Like he's like explaining these like complicated things to them. And even his hair is different. Like his hair's like slicked down, whereas before it's like all crazy, you know?
Yep.
So then the electricity guy is like malfunctioning.
Yes, because the electricity guy has the old batteries that are all worn.
Right. Yeah. And then, like you said, the insurance guy was funny. And then they also had like a reflection guy because he's
Yes.
looking in the mirror. And the reflection guy is like trying to start a lesson, you know, like trying to get into some kind of explanation. And the yellow guy just like walks away. That was kind of funny.
Yep, and goes up the stairs.
He's like, nah, I'm not here for this lesson. Like, let me leave. Yeah. And, yeah, so obviously he's different with his new batteries. And he thinks like the others don't like it because they're not like calling the shots anymore. So it's just kind of funny.
Yeah. And I thought the big boy's room was funny.
Yes, that was funny. I like how the characters like look different.
Yeah.
They had like different details, you know? And like everything he said, like he talks about it, like starts to sing. They talk about like boundaries and sedimentary rocks. Like they all start singing.
You're right, because they're big boys. They learn two things at once.
Yeah, it's like so goofy. And then, oh my gosh, when they get to like the human room where the human's there, and it's like a creepy thing, you know? Like it definitely has this like, feels like it's out of a scary movie, you know? Like it's just creepy. Like the human, Leslie, is playing the piano, but she's like real elusive. Like he'll like ask questions, she's kind of like real elusive and
Yep.
like super weird. And then like they're in the dark, and a few old characters are like dead, like the clock guy, and they're like another one, the big like, what was it, a big steak looking guy
Yeah.
was like asking for help,
yeah.
like help me, help me, help me. Yeah, it's like super creepy, you know. It gets like real meta, like you said. And then he goes back, and they're like, this is it, like we're done with this new person, and they change out his batteries.
Yeah, well, I thought it was funny that the way they ended up in the dark is they kept, like, plugging things in and turning
Yes.
old things into new electrical things.
Yes.
And eventually they use too much and it trips the breaker or something.
It's like they're basically messing up the fabric of their lives because they're just like changing stuff up so much, like, you know, normal chaos of these shows, right? And so then they're like in the dark, and there's like funny little parts, like the duck like pulls out a phone at one point. He's like, since when have you had a phone? He's like, it's for emergencies, like, you know, like goofy stuff like that. But let's talk about that special book that the human gives them.
Yeah, it's a weird book.
Like, what was that about? It seemed like some secret special book, like as if it held the key to everything.
Yeah.
It was like the feeling that you get. And then when they change his batteries out, like at the end, he changes batteries again, so he's dumb again, and he just goes and like shreds the special book.
Yep.
And you just know that that book holds the key to like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I thought that was like a well-realized tragedy that, you know, like it's the payoff for the Shredder bit, like the Green Duck's like obsessed with the Shredder.
Yes.
The whole episode.
Yes.
And like just, you know, he gets smart and goes up and tries to find answers to what's going on.
Yes.
And when he finally gets them, he wants to share them. And they like ends up unable to realize the potential
like
of the book.
his plans are foiled. And you feel like it's just like such an injustice that they don't let him like be his new and improved self. Like they want him back to normal. They want like, the status quo to get back to normal. Like, he needs to be stupid. Like, it's really goofy.
Yeah, but I don't really like this episode. There's some good jokes, but I just I don't care for meta commentary sort of stuff most of the time.
Yeah.
Which this is. And I also don't like the concept of a normally dumb character becoming smart.
Yeah.
I've seen that, I swear, a dozen times.
Definitely, yeah.
It's done to death and uninteresting.
Harsh.
Seen everything there is to see with it. Don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think the episode was bad. I thought it was decently done. It had that movie Inception, and had that kind of quality where they're going up to different levels and different levels and different levels. So it was interesting. I will say I felt it was entertaining. Like I said, it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was amazing or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of, I think this was one at some point where I was okay, where are we going with this, it seemed like it was lasting a while, which is never good in a show, so, I mean, that part, but I thought it was definitely entertaining, it was a storyline, whether it was good or bad, but yeah, and then of course, like I mentioned, the tragedy of it at the end is the book gets shredded. He gets dumb again, and it's the other ones just want to hold him back and not let him shine in his new intelligent self, but once again the status quo is maintained because it all comes back down to that, so I mean it was an interesting episode, I'll say.
Yeah, I just the two main premises of this episode I just don't like.
Yeah, so. I get that. The human was so weird. That whole part was very weird.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the meta thing, though,
Yeah, but just super creepy. Ooh.
I don't know. I didn't think that was creepy. I honestly thought it was trying too hard to be creepy and failing.
Yeah,
but I guess it worked for you. So.
Well, I get creeped out easily. Yeah, it didn't super creep me out, but it was just it was supposed to be super creepy,
Yeah.
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 Very funny.
Anything else to add about this episode?
I don't think so.
Alright, so, thoughts about the whole thing? The episodes we watched and the TV show as a whole?
Yeah, so in summary, I thought it was, episodes 4 through 6, as I said in the beginning, I thought they were decent. I agree with you. They weren't the best, but, they had some entertainment value, production value, so it was okay.
Yeah, that's probably about my thoughts on it. I mean, I really didn't like 4, but 5's good and 6 is fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, like we've been saying, the production value's always nice on this, and it is cool, even if I don't like the TV show format, to see them have a full 20 minutes worth of budget for some of these episodes and all the stuff they get up to with it.
Yeah, it actually surprises me that this became a TV show, that it was that popular that it became one. So I mean, I gotta give them props. Like you said, everything's always very well done.
Yep.
It just, it can kind of drag on a little bit for me.
Yeah, and like I said in the last one, and I've reiterated again here, I really like the old YouTube format better.
Yeah.
I feel like that worked a lot better, because it's a concept designed basically for YouTube, for the short, sort of punchy episodes, and I think, I think it struggled a bit to fit the TV show format.
Yeah, I could see that for sure.
But that's Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. I don't know if there'll be any more of it or not.
We'll see.
Yeah. So, yeah, any other thoughts on the TV show?
Yeah, that's all I got.
Alright, any, thoughts on the whole series in general?
So, the whole series of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, as we've said before, it's an absurdist, goofy, weird, I mean, I'm saying the same thing over and over, but it's basically, just an interesting concept to me. As I've mentioned before, I like the creativity, obviously, the stuff that they come up with, the writers come up with, is so crazy and interesting, and it's always very well done. You know, yeah, it gets a little creepy, it gets a little gory. I think it's just part of the whole genre of it, you know. But would I sit there and like rewatch these? Probably not. But it is something different, and you know, I think like for what it is, it's good, and obviously it's good because it had, you know, it became so popular. But it's just like a really like I feel like if I would show like one of my friends this, they'd be like, "What is this?" Because that's kind of how I was at first, you know. But once you get into it, it's definitely entertaining.
Yeah, I like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Yeah.
And it's cool that they got a TV show, even if it's,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't like it as much as the old stuff.
Well, you always want to see, you know, another level of success for people who put a lot of effort into something, you know?
Yeah. And the effort's still there, even if I think the writing isn't as good.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, they probably have to satisfy, like, you know, the network that they're on and like that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm sure they don't have as much creative freedom as they probably once did.
I mean, I don't know. It feels like they have plenty. Like,
yeah. I mean, they definitely do. I'm just trying to give them like a possibility of like why it's not as, you know.
Yeah, that's Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I guess I'll take us out.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's been Beach View. Thanks for listening, and tune in next time. Bye.
Bye.